All right, here we go. We're gonna do some questions that I got on Instagram today. People kind of asked some different questions about pressing. We started the day with pressing. Then, like I said, we went to log press, did some other pressing, and then we ended up doing a chain drag, which turned into a tug of war, which hopefully was kind of fun to watch. But now we're gonna ask some questions. We have Dave here. Dave is kind of who I learned everything from, like I've said a couple times now. So first question.
A couple of things.
A couple things. I learned a lot of things. What is more important, log pressing, triceps or shoulders?
I think it depends on like your limb length. Like being taller for me, triceps are always way more important.
Sure.
You know, some guys I could see it being shoulders, but for me, like the midpoint of the lift or the triceps kick in was always the tough point. So it was, for me, always triceps. So I would say in general, taller guys got to work triceps a little bit more.
Yeah, I agree. I think for me, my pressing's well because tricep strength. Shoulders are pretty strong, but triceps are more dominant because I wasn't as tall as the other guys. Next question, best accessory lift for log lift?
I think that again kind of goes back to what each lifter's strength or weakness is. So for me, being triceps, I always sort of get in the most mileage when I do some kind of strict pressing against chains or bands.
Yeah.
Whether, not even just strict pressing, but I'd often push press against the bands or the chain as well, just because that would give me a kind of a more natural curve to work against. Like my shoulders, you know, could kind of drive stuff fast off the bottom, and then it would load my triceps at the top and really work those even harder. So it wasn't, I mean, I got a lot out of training like neutral grip Viking press with bands.
Yep.
Like that was, and I don't know if that's really an accessory or just a substitute.
Sure.
As far as like a pure second type lift, I would go with maybe like an incline press or a dumbbell incline press probably.
Yeah, and just to add to that, like what he's kind of saying too is you're working your weakness. So improve your weakness. I think for log press, I think maybe if you're gonna do your incline or your bench, use the Swiss bar. So you have more of a neutral grip, so it's gonna carry over to that neutral grip on the log. Next one, how much leg drive should you use in an overhead press? And kind of go with that question, another one was about like tips for using the legs. So the best way to use your legs in the press, and then how much should you use your legs in the press?
I think the short answer would be use as much as you can.
Yeah.
In competition.
Yes.
As far as training, you know, a lot of times you'll train specifically with no legs and do a strict press to build up your just raw press horsepower. But, you know, obviously like a barbell and an axle, you're going to be more suited to use more leg drive because you're more up and down when you have it in the rack position, whereas as you get into the bigger diameter logs and then even just some real awkward stuff like blocks and kegs, it's very hard to use any leg drive.
Okay.
So it's really, it depends answer, which I know isn't great, but
yeah.
it really does depend. But in competition, you know, if you can like split jerk something, awesome, like do it. But
yeah,
you can't
that's
always
your strength.
Do that. And sometimes the footing plays into it. Sometimes you're on a nice level indoor surface. Sometimes you're outdoors in sand, and you're probably not going to use much legs.
No, more strict press. What about like, do you think toes pointed out a little bit and hips down, or bend more at the knees?
I think if you're trying to leg drive on a more awkward, like thicker log where you're bent back, you have to probably go a little more toes out and knees out. You know, if you're narrow toes forward, it's probably just not going to work. You're probably going to stress your knees out way too much trying to leg drive an implement like that.
Good. What's easier to press, a log out of the rack or a barbell?
Oh, a barbell is going to always be a little bit easier.
Yeah, absolutely.
Most people can handle more weights once they acclimate to the implement.
Yeah. We'll stay with the log press. I lose a lot of tension when I take a breath after a clean with the log. How can I fix that?
You got to train more midsection stuff.
Core.
You know, I don't say that word.
He doesn't
but,
like it.
Like I would say, train more log without a belt and do like reps, like 5 and up, where you're forcing yourself to work that stability with no belt on.
Breathing heavier.
Yeah, because you'll get to a point on a higher rep set where you have no choice but to breathe during the lift, and you sort of by default learn how to brace and do all that while you're lifting.
Yeah. Good. Last one. What has helped increase your pressing strength the most?
Probably back to the old the strict Viking press with bands and like push pressing axles with chains on them. That's when my press was at its best. That was, you know, those two things are the main lifts I was kind of rotating in aside from actual implements.
And how long would you do like a training cycle with the bands on there?
I might go like, you know, like a 6-week cycle, and I do, you know, do Viking with bands for like 2 weeks. Then I might go to the axle with the chains, then back to the Viking with the bands type of thing. But like going 6-week blocks where I was doing the accommodating resistance and the overhead, and I always got some good results doing that.
Yeah, I think to go with like the bands for more than 2 weeks is really tough on the joints, and so you'll switch it to the chains, and it can be a little bit easier on your joints and load a little bit different. So I appreciate you guys watching. As always, like, subscribe, and we'll get some more questions with Dave.